What if I told you that Harry Potter, the boy who lived, almost never existed? What if the most magical story ever written was rejected 12 times? What if the woman who created Hogwarts, Dumbledore, and the wizarding world was told she'd never make money from it? This is not just the story of J.K. Rowling. This is the story of how Harry Potter survived rejection, poverty, and doubt to become the most beloved wizard in history. It was June 1990, a delayed train from Manchester to London. Joanne Rowling, 25 years old, was staring out the window when suddenly an image appeared in her mind. A young boy, skinny, glasses, black messy hair, and a lightning-shaped scar on his forehead. He didn't know it yet, but he was a wizard. His name? Harry Potter. For the next 4 hours on that train, the entire story unfolded in her mind like magic. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Platform 934, the four houses, Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, a dark wizard named Voldemort, and a boy destined to defeat him. Jo didn't have a pen, so she just sat there, letting the story build in her imagination. She was too shy to ask anyone for paper, but by the time she reached London, she knew this was the story she had to write. She started working on it immediately. She created detailed notes about every character, every spell, every corner of the wizarding world. She even drew maps of Hogwarts. But life had other plans. Just a few months later, her mother passed away from multiple sclerosis. Jo was devastated. She channeled that pain into the story, especially into Harry's loss of his parents. The grief Harry felt became her grief. She moved to Portugal to teach English. There, she continued writing Harry Potter. She got married, had a daughter named Jessica, and for a moment, she thought life was settling down. But then her marriage fell apart. At 28 years old, she returned to Scotland, broke, divorced, depressed, and with a baby daughter. But she had something else too. A half-finished manuscript about a boy wizard named Harry Potter. Jo was now living in a tiny, freezing apartment in Edinburgh. She was on welfare, surviving on just £70 a week. She couldn't afford heating. She couldn't afford childcare. Bills were piling up. Depression was crushing her. She later said she considered suicide. She felt like a complete failure. But Harry Potter kept her alive. She made a promise to herself. I will finish this book, even if no one ever reads it. So every day, she would bundle up her baby Jessica, walk her in a stroller till she fell asleep, and then sit in a small café called the Elephant House. There, with 1 cup of coffee, she would write for hours. Her hands were freezing. Her future was uncertain, but Hogwarts was alive on those pages. She wrote about Harry meeting Ron and Hermione on the Hogwarts Express, the sorting hat deciding which house students belonged to, Quidditch matches where wizards flew on broomsticks, Professor Snape who seemed to hate Harry, Hagrid, the gentle half-giant who became Harry's first real friend, and the Philosopher's Stone hidden deep within Hogwarts that could grant immortality. She poured her heart into every sentence. Harry wasn't just a character, he was hope. Finally, in 1995, after 5 years of writing, she typed the last sentence of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. She was exhausted, proud, and terrified. Now came the hardest part, finding someone to publish it. She typed up her manuscript on an old typewriter. She sent it to a literary agent. Rejected. She tried another agent. Rejected. And another. Rejected. 12 publishers turned her down. 12 times someone looked at Harry Potter and said, "No thanks, not interested." One publisher told her, "Don't quit your day job, you'll never make money writing children's books." Another said, "The story's too long, kids won't read 300 pages." Imagine that, the most successful book series in history rejected because it was too long. Jo was heartbroken, but she didn't give up. Finally, a small London publishing house called Bloomsbury agreed to take a chance. But even they weren't confident. The editor gave the first chapter to his 8-year-old daughter Alice to read. She loved it. She immediately demanded to read the rest. That's what convinced them. But Bloomsbury still gave Jo some harsh advice. You'll never make money from children's books. Get a day job. They also told her to use initials instead of her full name, because boys wouldn't read a book written by a woman. So Joanne Rowling became J.K. Rowling. The K was for Kathleen, her grandmother's name. Bloomsbury printed just 1,000 copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. The book was released on June 26, 1997. And then, magic happened. Kids loved it, parents loved it, teachers loved it. Word spread like wildfire. Within months, Harry Potter wasn't just a book, it was a phenomenon. Awards started pouring in. The second book, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, became an instant bestseller. Then came Prisoner of Azkaban, then Goblet of Fire, where midnight release parties began. Thousands of people lined up in wizard costumes just to get the book at 12:01 a.m. Hollywood came calling. Warner Brothers bought the movie rights. The films became global blockbusters. Daniel Radcliffe became Harry, Emma Watson became Hermione, Rupert Grint became Ron. The magic jumped off the page and onto screens worldwide. By the time the seventh book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, was released in 2007, it sold 11 million copies in the first 24 hours, the fastest-selling book in history. Today, Harry Potter has sold over 500 million copies, translated into 80 languages. The movies earned $7.7 billion at the box office. Theme parks opened in Orlando, Hollywood, Japan, and Beijing. The wizarding world became a multi-billion-dollar empire. And J.K. Rowling, the woman who once wrote in cafes to stay warm, became richer than the Queen of England. But here's the most magical part. None of it would have happened if she had given up on Harry. So what can we learn from the story of Harry Potter? First, your idea might be rejected 12 times, but it only takes one yes to change everything. Harry Potter was rejected by everyone, until one person believed. Second, your darkest moments can create the brightest magic. Jo created Hogwarts while living in darkness. She turned pain into a world of wonder. Third, believe in your magic even when the world doesn't. Everyone told her Harry Potter wouldn't work, but she kept writing. And finally, the boy who lived almost didn't. If Jo had given up after rejection number 5 or 8 or 12, Harry Potter would have died on a typewritten page in a cold Edinburgh apartment. But she didn't give up. And because of that, millions of kids around the world discovered that they too could be brave like Harry, loyal like Ron, and brilliant like Hermione. So if you are struggling right now, remember this. Harry Potter was rejected 12 times, but it only needed one chance to change the world. And so do you.